Good afternoon and welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. The EU's energy chief Dan Jørgensen wants to ban certain Russian gas imports from as early as next year. The commissioner made the announcement in Strasbourg while handing down the legal basis for Brussels' bold proposal to turn off the taps for all Russian gas by 2027. More from our EU correspondent Angela Skujins in the Belgian capital.
The long-touted plan spearheaded by the European Union's Commissioner for Energy, Dan Jørgensen, for the 27 EU member states to exit Russian energy by 2027 has been laid bare. Now, the Commissioner outlined the contours of this legal proposal at a press conference in Strasbourg on Tuesday. He said he would tackle gas first, as this is the most problematic of the trio of Russian energy sources. The most important date being here is the 1st of January 2026. This is when all imports of Russian gas signed under those new short-term supply contracts will be banned. The Energy Commissioner also stated that any member state that doesn't comply with this will face legal consequences.
When the legislation is passed, all countries, of course, has to apply to it, and if they don't, then there will be legal consequences like with any other legislation in the European Union.
Member states have until March next year to supply the European Commission with their energy diversification plans, as well as other info regarding their energy supply units. The whole thrust of this is for the European Union to be independent with its energy security and to get off that Russian energy as that country continues with its illegal invasion of Ukraine, using those energy profits to prop up its war machine. Now, the European Commissioner also stated that he doesn't need unanimity to support this measure, only a qualified majority, as it is an energy and trade proposal, meaning only 15 out of the 27 EU member states need to support it. We've already heard quite strident pushback from countries such as Slovakia and Hungary, with those countries claiming that turning off the taps will lead to soaring energy prices as well as rolling blackouts. The Commissioner stated that he is in conversation with Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico as well as the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to hopefully find a solution. But we're expecting this measure to be voted on at the next European Council, scheduled to take place at the tail end of next week before heading to the European Parliament for a vote. Angela Skujins from Brussels for TVP World.
Evacuations of Central European citizens are underway in Israel following the escalation of hostilities between Israel and Iran. The two countries have been trading missile fire for the fourth day in a row.
A plane carrying 73 evacuees arrived in the Slovakian capital Bratislava on Tuesday. Aside from Slovakians, the flight also carried Poles, Czechs, Slovenians and Austrians, as well as individuals from Spain, Estonia and Malaysia.
Came to Israel to see my best friend. This is a first trip after 2 years since the war started. I was also here on the October the 7th.
Most evacuees say they did hear the missile and drone attacks taking place while in Israel. Because the airspace above Israel is closed, the European nationals were brought to neighboring Jordan before boarding their flight.
In the night we saw some there were sirens, so I could hear some here in the air defense is going on, but otherwise the ground thanks help.
The evacuation came as Israeli forces stepped up their bombardment of Iranian cities, while Iran retaliated with strikes of its own.
And as U.S. President Donald Trump urged Iranians to evacuate Tehran, the Israel-Iran conflict entered its fifth day on Tuesday. Footage posted on Monday on social media shows intense traffic blocking the road leading out from the Iranian capital. Residents of Tehran are apparently leaving the city following the fifth day of Israeli attacks. According to Israeli sources, Iranian wartime chief of staff was killed in recent strikes alongside 3 people in Iran's central city of Kashan. Both countries also exchanged blows overnight, with air raid sirens ringing across Israel and missile smoke trails seen above Tel Aviv, Jerusalem and Haifa. So far, no casualties of the Iranian strikes have been reported. Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, and diplomacy is the only way to prevent it, said EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas, referring to the ongoing tensions in the Middle East between Israel and Iran over Iran's nuclear program. The EU official emphasized that the bloc will do everything possible to de-escalate the conflict and prepare the EU for potential global oil price growth triggered by the unrest in the Middle East.
Ministers called on all sides to abide by international law, exercise restraint and avoid actions that could spiral out of control. We all agreed the urgent need for de-escalation. Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, and diplomacy is the solution to prevent this. And EU will play its part. Actually, I think that we should move forward with the oil price cap, especially because of the tensions also in the Middle East. The whole idea of the oil price cap is actually to lower the prices. I think we shouldn't end up in a situation where the situation in the Middle East will increase the oil prices and actually also make Russia to earn more.
The death toll from overnight Russian attack on Kyiv rose to 21 on Tuesday afternoon, according to the head of the Ukrainian capital's military administration, Timur Tkachenko. An additional 114 people were wounded. At 8 a.m. CET, Tkachenko reported 14 deaths. In the afternoon, he relayed that 2 more and then an additional 5 bodies had been recovered from under the rubble. The Ukrainian Interior Ministry reported that Russian forces attacked 27 sites across Kyiv last night, including residential buildings, schools, and critical infrastructure facilities. Russia also attacked Odessa in southern Ukraine on Monday night, where at least 13 people had been wounded and many more still remain under rubble. Can Europe's farms survive without a new generation to run them? That was the key question at the informal summit of EU agriculture ministers in Warsaw, where leaders have wrapped up talks on how to make farming more appealing to young people. Alexandra Bulenda has more.
Today's final day of the international meeting of EU agriculture ministers in Warsaw brought a strong focus on securing the future of European farming, and with a focus on investing in its youngest generation. Delegates wrapped up with a united call for support, now less red tape, but also real strategies to make farming attractive again. At the heart of the discussion was generational renewal, and Poland's agriculture minister Czesław Siekierski said that current reforms proposed by Brussels are a long-awaited response to farmers' demands that have been healing throughout the months right now. Now, also taking the floor, EU Commissioner for Agriculture Christoph Hansen revealed the scale of financial commitments already on the table.
The CAP strategic plans allocate 8.5 billion to support for young farmers, including income and investment aid. And by 2027, 377,000 young farmers should become heads of farm via this help.
The meeting ended with a consensus that both national and EU-level action is very much needed, whether it is access to credit or land or adapting to climate change for that matter, or simply ensuring that farming is viable in the long term. Now, with climate pressures, trade tensions and security risks rising, ministers made it clear that European agriculture must be modern, attractive, supported, but above all, generationally renewed. From Warsaw for TVP World, Alexandra Bulenda.
Poland is one of the poorest countries in Europe when it comes to its water resources. According to experts, as much as 45% of all farmland and woodland is at a risk of drought. The average amount of water per Polish citizen annually equals to 1.6 thousand cubic meters of water, almost 3 times less than the European average. Weather forecasts point to long periods of hot and sunny weather, occasionally broken up by violent downpours, which aren't conducive of battling drought. This is due to water washing off the ground and flowing into rivers rather than being absorbed by the ground. Analysts say the drought is likely to also cause an increase in food prices. And so this would be all the latest news for now. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you soon in a moment.